Welcome to another episode of the Enlighten Hour Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into the worlds of O levels and how to ace those exams with the help of three accomplished guests. Please join me in welcoming Syed Abdur Rahman, Zonaisha Habib, and Warda Athar. These three have not only excelled in their O levels, but have also mastered the art of preparation and strategy that helped them secure top grades. Welcome, guys. Let's start with our O level journeys. Syed Abdurrahman, Zinesha, and Varda, can you share with us how your O level journey began? Were you always aiming for A stars?
Yeah, so I'll start. Basically, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My journey began. Basically, I have two elder brothers, and they are also accomplished ONA level students, and they also pulled straight A's. So I was expected to also match up to their pace. And obviously, as my parents expected more of me, I aimed for higher and higher. एक पॉइंट आया था जिसमें ऑब्वियसली मुझे उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशंस पूरी करनी थी तो आई गेस दैट वाज द मेन मोटिवेशन बिहाइंड इट
Yeah. What about you, Zinesha?
yeah
I believe I would add on to what Abdul Rahman just said. I also have an elder sister, and she has been a brilliant student all her academic life, and which is why I was expected to be like beat or maybe fill up the bar, and which is the major reason why I've always aimed for A stars, and I'm grateful that I did fulfill whatever I aimed for.
That's great.
That's it, I guess.
Yes, Varda, what about you?
Same goes with me. I have two elder sisters. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
you.
so I have two elder sisters, and they have accomplished in O levels and A levels, mashallah. And so I was always aiming for A stars and A. Since childhood, I'm a first position holder. So yes, this was it.
Okay. So, how did you select your subjects? Was it based on your interest or pressure from others or career planning?
okay I'll be honest it was mostly for the pressure from my parents like mostly from my mom she obviously wanted her son one of her son to go into medical side right because my elder brother was in the business side the other brother was in engineering side so I was picked to be on the medical side so basically that's why I chose biochemistry and physics.
Oh, right.
For me, it basically went along however I wanted. The only problem that I faced was back in my early stages of O levels. I was in Mia Valley campus, City School Capital campus, but in Mia Valley campus, and they did not really offer any other subjects than biology. So I guess for my grade ninth, I had to go for biology, but then I could have changed it, but then I really like biology, so I chose pure sciences and math. So that's purely because of interest, I would say.
Great. And Varda, what about you?
I always had interest in computer science. My subjects are computer science, physics, and chemistry. So my elder sisters are in bio, and I have chosen bio. So I had interest in bio and computer science both, but my main interest was computer science, as I want to pursue artificial intelligence, inshallah.
Okay, that's great. Now let's talk about study strategies. Can each of you share your top three most effective study habits that worked for you during O levels?
I would have to say consistency and just memorizing the past papers because past papers is one of the greatest asset you can have on your side. Like most people are scared of like doing past papers and seeing the market scheme and all. Like for me, it was the most important asset, right? Consistency and past papers. And along with that, you also have to make sure that you have a balance between all the subjects. You can't just prioritize one subject and you leave the others. Because obviously सबका अपनी पेस ही होती है but at the end of the day आपने सबको ही मैनेज करना होता है so yeah
I believe for me there were like three very important qualities or maybe a study ethic that a student should have, which is planning, practice, and consistency. Because as soon as you reach your O levels, I think a student should be well disciplined enough to know that there is a fine balance that you need to maintain. And then once you strike the balance, it is very important for you to be consistent. One thing that made me ace my goal was consistency, because it's easy to plan and it's easy to do it for a day or so, but it is definitely very difficult to continue doing it for months and months. But I think that is the key to it. And you can only strike balance between all of your subjects and then be at peace as well when you have things planned for yourself. So I think it goes for me like this: planning, practice, and consistency.
That's very true.
So I believe that my effective study habit was that I always make short revision notes. And obviously, as said by Zonaisha and Abdur Rahman, that practicing past papers and consistency and practice and practice. So that it is.
Okay. So, what was your routine like during exam months? Did you follow a strict schedule, or was there any specific times of the day you dedicated to studying?
Okay, so basically, from the early point of my life, like when I was in, I think, fifth or fourth class, like my mom always prioritized scheduling before starting revision or practice and all. So, uski वजह से, like I always had to make a schedule, you know. I had to plan days on which I would give a certain subject a certain time, right? And this carried on for like all of my five till O level and then A levels. So basically, the O level, I used to make a schedule 2 or almost 2 months before CIs, and then I used to stick on it. I didn't say, okay, maybe I'm not interested in doing this subject this particular day, but I stuck to it. I did first I did revision, and then I used to do past papers. Obviously, you have to do. I'm not saying you shouldn't make notes, you shouldn't do revision. You have to first revise whatever the concepts you have, and then move on to practice. And yes, it was. I used to make it a bit flexible. Like at night, I used to watch like 1 hour of a season or drama, like for entertainment. And apart from that, like from 4 to 5, I used to go for to play cricket with my brother. So yeah, it wasn't just steady all day, but I'll be honest, I was consistent with the schedule, and it helped me a lot. So yeah.
I think for me, I fall into a very nerdy category when it comes to my routine for my O levels and A levels exams. I was completely all out for my exams. I guess I would go in a complete lockdown 2 months. Probably for my O levels, it was 3 months before my CIs, and I used to follow a very, very strict schedule, which I would not really encourage people doing because that really exhausted me throughout my academic career. But still, students who think they can pull it off, I would still not recommend. Even if you think you can pull it off, please don't do it like that. But I would follow a very strict routine, a very monotonous routine. I would like wake up early, and then it was a 6 to 11 situation. I would wake up at 6, and then I would study all day long till 11, and then 11 is like a pack up time. It would only have a namaz break, a food break, and a nap break in between for like I guess the peher mixi time, but that is it. And apart from that, I don't think I would I would not personally allow myself to feel free to have anything because it would guilt trip me so much. Okay, oh, you're having fun, you have your CIs up and you're having fun. So that is why I did not do any other activity other than sticking to my schedule and my books and practice and past papers. But yes, I did really look after my eating and sleeping habits throughout this time, and I think that is what enabled me to be sane enough because I did not do anything else. That's it, I
You're definitely a survivor.
think. Thank you.
Yeah.
So basically, I am a night owl, and I used to study all night. And like in the evening and in the night. I was not a morning person that I used to wake up early and study all that, but I was a night person. So that it is. And I used to practice past papers in the night, and I always had a lunch break. Like always, I used to watch any season or anything drama or type of during my lunch time. So that is.
Right. So, just as you mentioned past papers, let's talk about past papers, which is a big part of O level preparation. How early did you guys start solving past papers during your preparation?
Okay, so for me, like scheduling was key. My mom always prioritized scheduling over, everything else. So first, I used to make a schedule like way before, I think in February, before any in send-ups time, right? So mocks time. So they were like two. I used to do like tropicals and then yearly, right? So I used to do tropicals before send-ups, the mid exam, and after send-ups, I used to switch to yearly. And I used to start like the actual past paper grind, I think on mid-February, right? Like at the end of the February or mid-February. I used to burn out a lot of them. So I used to do like 4 or 5 papers a day. And it was stressful, yeah, but I used to make a schedule, right? I used to wake up early. Obviously, I was the early bird back then. Can't say the same right now, but then between the time, like I used to do past papers all day. Like I used to first revise my core subject, like the concept, make them clear, and then move on to past papers. And I guess the only entertainment in between was like going to play cricket with my brother. I used to enjoy that a lot with my brother. And like at night, I used to watch like a season or drama with my family. Like we had this watching drama with like the family on dinner night. So that's basically it. So that apart from that, I used to study all day. Like I used to burn myself out. But I guess maintaining a good sleep schedule would also help.
Yeah.
I think for me, I started off topicals early on because for your O3, as we all are aware, कि we're halfway through our syllabus already for grade ninth and 10th. So I used to practice the topicals for the topics that we had already covered. And that started as soon as we started with our grade 11th ka session. And once I was done with my entire syllabus, which is around January, like the end of January, I did start proper past paper practice from mid February, and then I would like rigorously practice past papers because, as I shared earlier, I was very nerdy, so I used to plan around 8 papers a day, two for like each subject. Then again, it was a plan that I would follow and very strictly follow, which enabled me to complete a lot of past papers for around 10 to 12 years. I don't think you need so much of past papers, but still, you can practice as much as you can, and you can get your hands over patterns that they use in CIE's examination. But however, you should not run out of past papers till the last bit of your exam prep. For that, I use a strategy of 15-day break. I used to divide the month into 15 days and 15 days, 15 days for revision and then 15 days for past papers. So I would alter between these two things to make sure that I have past papers to do till the very end. So that's how I would go about it.
So I used to do topical past papers after every topic, and I started and then after completing the topical past papers of from somewhat 2015 to 2020 somewhat. So then I used to start the yearly past papers just before mocks. Yes.
Right. So, analyzing mistakes is key to improvement, right? How did you guys analyze your mistakes and learn from the marking schemes?
Okay, so obviously, like I told you, my topic was fairly kiye the, and then I switched to yearly. Like yearly was the main important asset. Like basically, I used to do the whole paper and I used to time it. Obviously, I used to start at a specific time and then complete it on the finish time. And afterwards, I would see the marking scheme. Like I would open the marking and at that time, I don't think I was allowed my own phone, but I used to check on the marking scheme on my laptop, and I used to pull up the marking scheme, and I used to go through the questions, and I made sure, because if a question is of 3 marks, you need 3 points, right? Then they used to provide like 5 to 6 points, like they always used to provide excess points, you know. So I used to make sure that I had those 3 points in that specific question, and then I used to say, okay, okay, I did this question to the fullest. Now I can move on to the next one. If I didn't, I used to cut it and write. I used to do self marking basically, because at that time my brothers were also busy on their studies. I didn't have time to have it checked from someone else. I would say I was a bit biased. Like I used to say, okay, this is enough. I can just move on. But obviously, I would say marking scheme really points out your mistakes. Like even if you're missing one word, it can really help you understand that that one word is really vital to be put on your answers. So that's how I basically got through my mistakes and all.
I would like to mention that, as Abdurrahman said, marking plays a really important role when you self mark yourself. People, I generally see even my younger sisters, they have a practice of taking their papers to their professors, teachers, tutors to get it checked. I believe checking your own solved papers across the mark scheme is something very important, and it instills a sense of responsibility, as well as it instills discipline in you कि आपको एक तो एक ये bias generally obviously आप जब अपना पेपर चेक कर रहे होते हो तो आपको ये होता है कि यार खैर एक नंबर इधर दे दे but that but over time when you like solve like 20 papers, maybe 25 papers, तो आपका वो चीज खत्म हो जाती है, and then you see yourself so strictly marking your exams कि आपको खुद होता है कि यार शायद इधर तो एग्जामिनर भी दे दे, मैंने खुद के मार्क्स काट लिए. So I think that is really important that you self mark yourself, you check yourself across your mark scheme. And one thing more that I used to do is I used to put up markers. I used to solve because मैं online papers solve नहीं करती थी, and I would not encourage people to open up like students usually do कि वो paper खोल लेते हैं and then they just write down answers on a register. I would not used to do that. I used to print out papers and I used to do it in a complete manner. So I used to put markers and then add up things from the mark scheme that I missed there. So once I was done with my past paper practice and the 15 days where I would revise it, I would open up those markers and I would see okay, where did I miss, what did I miss and where did I miss. So that is how it really helped me improve and do better in my paper practice.
So I used to list out all my mistakes in a separate paper, and after that, like just before the paper, I used to revise all the problems or all the queries which I had in the paper. So that it is. This is how the marking scheme helped me.
Right. So handling exam pressure can be tough, right? So what were your tips for staying calm and focused during the exam, the actual exam?
Okay, so as I said, consistency and focus is key, right? You have to like prioritize those. And obviously it's always a stress that, but if I'm not able to make enough marks for getting an A or for an A. So because obviously you have expectations from yourself as well. Like apart from your parental pressure, you also have expectations on yourself. And you have this thing on your mind, like obviously, what if I don't get this? Like obviously you're pessimistic. Like when you're for
Mhm.
me, I was always pessimist. I was always thinking that I could do better. So I used to push myself, right? But managing that stress is really important, obviously. For me, dedicating your, I guess, 2 hours, like on separate times, dedicating at least 1 or 2 hours a day to for entertainment purposes, like watching a drama or watching, like playing cricket with your brother, I guess, it really helped me release my stress, right? It really helped me think, okay, I've done enough. Now I can have a bit of a rest. And then when I used to come back from there, I would say, okay, I'm more motivated because I actually dedicated 1 hour of my time into something other than studies. Now I need to study. So that's it. Basically, also helped release stress and also motivated me more to like push myself. So yeah.
I think I really like the idea of using entertainment to release your stress, but for me, it worked a little differently. I would use first up. I think it is really important for you to accompany yourself with a good positive and like positive people with positive aura or positive energies. For me specifically, it was my family. My father, he used to give us a lot of pep talk, which helped us through our stressful moments. And I used to go to him and I used to have those emotional moments. Obviously, I used to cry to him, कि मुझसे नहीं हो रहा या क्या हो रहा है. But you need to make sure that you surround yourself with positive energy so that whenever you fail to collect yourself, there are people who can buck you up and and you can let yourself feel through it. And apart from that, one thing that I would majorly do is I would dedicate a lot of time apart from my nap and food breaks to prayer. It would help me release a lot of stress. I would believe it is a very personal thing or what, but part of you, whenever you're content okay, you're doing your best, and then you have been to Allah Miya and you have told him ke maine itna tak kar liya hai, please you have to handle. So मुझे personally ये feel होता था कि now I am fine, I'm okay, he'll handle the rest for me. I need to just focus on whatever I'm doing, and then whatever he is doing, he has a plan and he's doing it accordingly. So I would take a lot of time out and be very calm and content while I do my prayers. I would never rush to prayers. So that is something that really helped me through my stress. And yes, family also. So like these two things that really helped me for my stressful moments.
Okay, so for me, it was my sister and my mother. As I said, that my sister has also graduated from O levels and A levels, and my sister always used to push up me. Although just before the exams, I was really very sick, and I remember that during my O levels part one, during my Islamiyat and Pakistan studies and history geography paper, I was really sick, and but my sister pushed up me that yes, you can do it, and that's how I relieve from it.
All right, so let's switch things up a bit and get to know you all a little better. This is the rapid fire round. No time for thinking, just quick, fun answers. Okay, so what is the weirdest study habit you've ever had?
I guess listening to music while doing math specifically. I didn't used to do it on other like math is basically practice, so I used to listen to music. So that yeah, that's my weird habit.
I think I would fidget a lot. I would fidget a lot while doing stuff, and that would make me remember things. I know why did I say that?
I
That's the weirdest.
That's cool, वैसे.
I used to munch after every minute. I used to eat something and something during my exam and studying while studying.
So stress eating, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so one subject that secretly scared you.
I think biology, because there was not never a specific pattern. Like it's all basically information, right? There's no like obviously there is a concept, but you have to memorize all the stuff and all. And for me, memorizing was something which was really scared me. So for me, it's biology.
I think physics. Oh, that was a really nightmare. I did not know how to do
Mhm.
physics. I was really bad at it. So I think physics, yeah.
For me, it was English. It
In-
was always unseen, and I was always like मुझे हमेशा डर रहता था कि marks आएंगे and all. So it was English.
okay. Night owl or early bird?
Okay, so I'm an early bird. Oh, not right now, but at that time.
An early bird. I've always been an early bird. And I think I'm still proud to say I'm an early bird.
I've
It's all in the
always
head.
been I've always been a night owl.
Okay. So favorite study snack?
For me, I guess biscuits, like obviously stress eating, right? I remember it got so bad, like, I used to eat like 6 to 8 biscuits like per session. And my mom had to hide those biscuits in her almari, and that was like, I used to beg her, please, please, please. And then she gave me one or two of those. So yeah, for me, it was biscuits.
I think mangoes for me, because we had our CIs in, like, peak summers. So that is the peak time for good sweet mangoes. So I think mangoes was a stress relieving fruit that I would have. Apart from that, I think candies as well. I used to sneak uh, out to get myself candies, and that is what I used to have as my food for
So for
study.
me, it was always chocolates. I used to eat so like tons of chocolates I used to eat.
Okay, so most random excuse you use to avoid studying.
I guess for me it was like I used to always be in contact with my friends. Like I used to contact them about where like can you send me the notes of this subject or the answer to this question. And then when they told me that they are watching a movie right now, and then they told me they were on like a video call with another friend watching another movie, I was like, okay, if they are not studying, then why should I? So for me, it was that.
Yeah.
The only excuse that I would make for myself is that I'm sleepy. Even if I was not sleepy, I would tell myself, नहीं नहीं मुझे नींद आ रही है, मुझे लग रहा है मुझे नींद आ रही है, मुझे सो जाना चाहिए. So because like I would keep telling myself कि अगर आपको नींद आ रही है मतलब आप पढ़ नहीं सकोगे, मतलब और टाइम वेस्ट होगा, तो फिर तेरे इस टाइम पे सो जाते हैं, फिर उठ के पढ़ लेंगे इस टाइम पे. So that is what I used to do a lot.
For me, it's watching dramas. Like during lunchtime, I always like मैं drama देखती हूँ and it extends and extends कि हाँ बस थोड़ा सा देख लेते हैं नहीं फिर थोड़ा सा ऐसे करके.
Right. So, which chapter felt like it would never end?
For me, I guess biology. Yeah, I think biology. Yeah, I fear it. I'm sorry, but I fear biology. Yeah. Oh, you mean
I
chapter?
think
Okay, okay, wait.
Yeah, yeah, chapter.
If you're talking about chapter, I think it was it is still in biology. I think the one energy metabolism, like it never ended. Like you just burned through those pages, and you were like, I'm still like at the middle. And biology and about and transport as well, like transport in humans. That was also a pretty long chapter.
for me, as I said, physics was a nightmare. All chapters of physics, it felt like they're not ending. Where am I? Why am I not able to complete them? But something that I was really stuck with was electromagnetism. Yeah, I don't remember exactly if it was called this, but I did not like the days when I had it planned and I would keep procrastinating कि मैं अभी शुरू करूंगी मैं अभी शुरू करूंगी मैं अभी शुरू करूंगी और वो खत्म ही नहीं होता था no matter how early I started.
For me, it was yes, as stated by Zonaisha, it was electromagnetic. Like physics, in physics, some chapters were so difficult and were so like never-ending chapters. So it was electromagnetic. Yes.
Okay, so if O Levels was a Netflix or drama series, what would your season be called?
Okay, it was a Netflix series, right? I guess Attack on Past Shippers, because I was always doing them past shippers. Like it's like in relation to the anime, right? Attack on Titan, but Attack on Past Shippers instead.
Right.
Oh, I would say I am really bad at it because I don't watch Netflix, but I think the only season that I watched was Stranger Things, and I would rather say Stranger Grades because no matter how much you do, you're never aware where would you land on the thresholds. So I guess that.
For me, I think I would like to say that the revision room because I used to revise and making short notes and that.
Okay, so ever cried over a math or science question? Be honest.
Okay, maths for me was really simple. Like for me, maths was my favorite subject, right? And maths and physics, and I used to love doing practice problems. So no, not over maths, biology. That's another question. Because yes, biology stressed me a lot, but not I never cried. But I always went to my mom. Okay, I can do it, and she used to motivate me, and I used to get back to the field. So yeah.
I think I always cried over maths. I remember a day I was fine with the maths paper. I always cried over maths. I remember my teacher would particularly remember me and would dedicate me a separate slot because she would know कि ये लेकर आए कि 5-10 papers और फिर ये बस बैठ के रोएगी कि मुझसे कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है because I was really bad at maths. I don't remember um, I don't remember any grade when I was good at maths except for KG when we learned 1 200. I was really good at remembering that. Apart from that, I don't remember. I don't remember any class I was good at sums. I was good at maths. But I've had a love-hate relationship with maths, which made me keep it for A levels as well. I know it sounds absurd for somebody who's saying, "Yeah, I feared maths," and then I kept it for A levels. But yes, that's what I did to myself, and I'm sorry for myself. That's it.
I think I always cried over a math question, but in a like मैं like past papers करती थी, so in the middle of that एक question like बहुत easy आता था, and then I used to show sir कि sir ये नहीं हो रहा, and sir would say वर्दा ये क्या हो गया तुम्हें, इतना आसान question नहीं हो रहा, so I would cry over a math question.
Okay, so now let's talk about the resources you used. Which books or resources helped you the most during O level preparation?
Uh, okay, so I think like going through just revising through the textbooks, like obviously I'm not saying you shouldn't revise the textbooks, they're also a great resource. But for me, going through the notes like which your teachers make and which you make on like your school days, that really helps. And once you revise your those notes, you can then move on to the past paper. Like past paper is the most important resource you have, right? It's the most important asset. You have to prioritize it. Obviously, revision करना भी जरूरी है. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read the test book. You should read it once, but you should make the notes that you don't have to go back to it again. Because going back to like the textbook again and again, it really burns out your time. And I don't think you have the time when you have to handle like 8 subjects or 5 subjects and then at one time.
Yeah, you're very right at it. I think what I did for my early O levels, like for my first part of the O levels, I made notes from scratch. I have been, but that's a very personal practice that I've been doing ever since my childhood. I would make my own notes. So what I used to do is I used to write it down, not even printed notes. I used to write it down and make my own notes. But then when it came to O3, as you already said, it is a lot. 5 subjects, and it is not easy for you to start from scratch. You don't have a lot of time as well. And I used a smarter approach. I went with the pre-made notes. I took printouts from websites that I thought were more reliable notes, and then I used to cross check them across my book while I used to revise, and I used to add up things. So it's technically my notes, but in a efficient manner. I used to do that, and once I had them prepared, I remember clearly I was done with them till February. And then I used to use them solely for my revision. I never went back to my textbooks because it had everything from the textbooks. It had everything that I had to Google. It had everything that I had searched from different videos or saw it on the YouTube. So then I used them solely as my source for revision from February onwards. So I would also recommend students to make their own notes, do a little effort because that will save you a lot in the end. Because you don't have a lot of time to go through the entire matters or entire A course at the end. Apart from that, reliable books. I think for me, because my strength subject was biology, and I would particularly address A course for biology and A course for matters as well, and the A course for chemistry as well. And for physics, I don't think I should recommend anything because I never knew what I was doing for physics. But these two books for chemistry and biology. That's it.
For me, it was a website named as Save My Exams. So that is a very good website. And apart from that, my sister's notes and myself notes created by me during my teacher's lectures. So these were my three resources. Save My Exams is a website. It is a very good website where I used to do all revision of physics specifically and chemistry.
Right. So, what would you prefer the most, school textbooks, YouTube lectures, or third-party guides for studying?
First of all, like as Zonaisha said, obviously making your own notes, that's obviously the best thing. From in my opinion, it's obviously the best thing you can do to like revise stuff and all, because it helps you memorize, and then making your own notes, you can like using other people's notes, you don't understand them the way you do with your own notes, right? And apart from that, like watching video lectures also helps, especially in maths. I remember the animatics, obviously, it's a pretty well-known person, but Zainab really helped me through my maths course, right? I used to watch his videos a lot. Other subjects, not so much, but I used to prepare my own notes from like the textbook and then from the teacher's guides as well. So yeah, for me, your own notes, like and maybe your friends as well, you can always compare, and then video lectures.
I think any reliable source depends and solely depends on the type of learner you are, and you can never sort of compare your learning with anybody else's. For some people, YouTube videos works, and for the others, the books work. But what you can do is you can figure out whatever works for you the best. If you can read well and you're not bothered by reading huge chapters, so you can use books. But on the other hand, if you have attention deficiency and you think that you are distracted and you cannot do when you see huge like huge contents, so then you can go for YouTube videos because that is the efficient manner of completing any chapter. And basically for sciences you need concepts, and then if there's somebody who is explaining you the concept is a far easier manner to remember than you trying to do error and trial and find it yourself. So if you were in a time crunch, I would say you can go for YouTube videos. Otherwise, it's always really good because it is always an enlightening experience to do it with proper textbooks. So that is what I would want to say.
For me, it was always my notes and secondly the school textbooks. Like so, my notes and the textbooks. So
Okay. So now let's zoom into subject-wise strategies, and we're starting with a subject that can be both fascinating and frustrating, which is biology. So I'll be asking Zunesha. We'd love to hear your take on this
Mhm.
one, as it is one of the most memorization heavy and detail-packed subjects in O levels. So, first thing first, what study methods did you rely on the most for biology? And did you use notes, diagrams, mnemonics, or mind maps? And were they self-made or from a particular source?
All right. Thank you so much for asking me about my favorite subject. That's something I would yap about from my O levels, and would love to do that. I think all the strategies that I used, I would not say they're very personal to me. Yeah, I was very interested in this subject in particular, but there are certain things that helped me be on track. As far as biology syllabus is concerned, I do agree it has a lot of contents to be memorized, and there are a lot of diagrams and labelings, which can be annoying at times. But how I used to do that, I used to associate my understanding with the concept. Even if you need to remember names, terminologies, keywords, you even then you have to have a certain concept to it. So I would revise that concept as a story, and then in case of remembering keywords, and then in case of I would write it down, and whenever I would come across a word or a term that I would usually forget, I would write it down on a sticky note and paste it wherever I would sit and study so that I could see it every day and then I could remember it. This is one thing that made it very effective for memorization. Apart from that, as I said, I would practice past papers and put up markers. For specifically for biology and maths, I would say, and as I'm asked about biology, whenever we do a complete paper and in the mark scheme and we check it across the mark scheme, it still has a lot of content, a lot of points that you might have missed and you might have not come across them in your textbooks as well. So I think it is really, really important that you focus on your mark schemes for biology. You write down all the points that you missed, even if you think that it was an 8 mark question and you've written 8 points, does not really matter. If there are 12 points in the mark scheme, write those 12 points down and then put a marker. Once you're done with your past papers and you're on to your revision part, or you're on to your last day of your before your exam, you need to revise something, revise those points. That is a very effective technique that I used through my O levels for biology and for my A levels biology as well. For mnemonics, yes, I did use a lot of mnemonics, and because I love music, I love to sing, and which is why I used to put a tune to it. That is my very personal thing how I used to remember biology. So which is why it associated to something I like, and I it it took it to another stage than it being my favorite subject. Lastly, I would say I was very lucky that I had a very, very good teacher for my O level biology, and then I think for my level biology as well. But for my O level biology, my ma'am has been a mentor throughout my O level exam prep. I used to love the way she taught. And which is why I used to dedicate a lot of time sitting with her and talking and discussing about past papers that I used to solve and the problems that I used to come across. And I would suggest that if you have a good teacher and you think that you can understand well, however she communicates, however she teaches, then I would recommend you to spend a lot of time discussing your papers, your self-checked papers with her or with him, and then have a feedback. That helped me a lot as well, because these teachers have been teaching for a lot of time and they have a lot of experiences coming across different students and their strategies, so they sometimes come up with ideas and strategies that might work for you. So she did help me a lot, and I used to love and look forward to those sessions where we would sit and talk about my past papers and how I had certain problems with them. So these are a few things that I would recommend people who are preparing for their O levels and looking forward to a better understanding and experience, ending up with good grades, is that you enjoy the process. Even if you don't like a subject, you don't like doing something, you just need to let yourself know that the result does not really matter. What matters is this time. It's a span of 3 years that you're spending, and I believe you cannot spend them in misery. So it is better that you invest your time in enjoying the process, enjoying whatever you do, and do it however you enjoy it. There should be no strict pattern on what you're doing. As I said, I used to make mnemonics, but I've never come across somebody who used to say कि मैं इसको tune की तरह पढ़ता था, but I used to like it. I used to put up a tune. I used to like it, and even it's a very silly thing to say, but in my exams, I used to hear that tune in my head, and I used to remember, कि, oh, that is this. So it actually works. Silly things might work too.
These,
So I think that's it.
these are really cool strategies, and I know they would be really helpful. Speaking of which, do you have any tips for answering in scientific language and avoiding vague answers? Like, how did you train yourself to use precise terminology?
Very good question. Shabana, for that, I would rather say past paper practice. All that has helped me with practicing and making up a skill to be able to answer in the language that the examiner expects a O3 student to do is practicing past papers. You can only be able enough to answer in the examiner's language once you read and know what the examiner requires. हम जनरली हमारी एक हैबिट होती है कि हम वो एज वी रीड इन आर टेक्स्ट बुक्स या हमारे दिमाग में जो कॉन्सेप्ट होता है हम उसको अपनी इंग्लिश में लिख देते हैं. दैट्स नॉट इनफ, स्पेसिफिकली फॉर ओ लेवल बायोलॉजी एंड देन ऑब्वियसली for A level biology as well, it is not enough. You need to make sure that you answer with certain terminologies, and you can only remember them जब आपकी आंखों के आगे से वो बार बार गुजरें या आप उनको बार बार लिखें, आप बार बार प्रैक्टिस करें. So a strategy that I would particularly use it, I faced a problem as well, though biology was my favorite subject, लेकिन मुझे भी ये मसला होता था कि मैं एक आंसर लिखती थी, but that wouldn't be up to mark to the examiner report or to the examiner mark scheme. So over time, when I did like 10, 12 papers, ऑटोमेटिकली यू वुड सी कि आपके अंदर ये चीज आ जाती है कि आप एक क्वेश्चन पढ़ते हैं तो आपको खुद ब खुद उससे रिलेटेड सारे कीवर्ड्स याद आ जाने शुरू हो जाते हैं कि ये लिखना है, ये लिखना है, ये लिखना है. And then you can plan your answers. Um, One thing that I would mention, particularly for long questions, is planning your answers. I know it sounds a little weird क्योंकि time crunch होता है, कुछ लोगों को time management का मसला होता है. But when you're practicing your exams, like past paper practice, आप तब से ही ये habit बनाएं that you plan your answers before you write them down. So when you plan your answers for biology, you plan them with their keywords. Like you just jot down bullets कि मैंने ये words लिखने हैं, and then I need to complete my answer within these. तो that will help you remember it, because आप जब एक flow में लिख रहे होते हैं, इस तरह होता है generally, मेरे साथ भी बहुत दफा हुआ है कि आपको याद होता है, but then it skips and it is you like it's completely off of your mind, or you mistakenly skip through it. So what it does is when you plan an answer, when you're done with your entire paper, when you're rechecking it, you can recheck it across the planned bullets. It can really help you make sure that you have covered everything that is required for the exam question.
All right, it's time to face the subject that either makes students panic or power up: O level math. From tricky algebra to time management, this section is going to unlock the hacks that help our guests succeed. Let's start with the basics. What were your go-to methods for tackling challenging algebra or functions problems?
Okay. So maths for me was a tricky subject. I'll be honest. Like especially with time management and all. Especially in paper two. Paper one was still comparatively doable in the given time, but paper two, it was really long and you needed to like tactfully manage your time and all. And apart from that, there were really tricky questions. They were really questions where you were, boggle your mind, you would be stuck on them for like really, you would waste sufficient time, really good amount of your time. So you needed to plan your paper accordingly. So for me, planning your paper beforehand, it was a really vital part of doing a math paper. So I used to assess, okay, these are the questions and we need to complete this question at this time, especially at paper two. I think the one where you can use the calculator. For that question, I used to time my questions. I need to complete this portion of my paper before this time, like in an hour and 2 hours, and then move on to the next. If I couldn't complete it, I just move on to the next one. I didn't waste my time. And at the end, if I had some spare time, I used to move back to the question and try to solve it again. Mostly it did help because once I had the rest of the paper cleared, I had less stress, and then maybe it helped me, tactfully use my knowledge and my concepts and all. Apart from that, I used to practice a lot. I think maths was the only subject I didn't even make notes for it. Like I just practice and practice and practice, and I used to do this paper and used to take it to my teacher and ask them to mark it. And apart from that, if there were teachers available, I used to use their own marking scheme. And if I did one question wrong, even if like it wasn't a full whole mistake, even if it was like a half mistake or something, I used to cut it out and I used to try again, used to do it all again. And that's really helped me practice, and I really got hold of maths in that way. So yeah, for me, it was all about practice.
Okay, so maths isn't just about solving, it's about solving it fastly and accurately. So, what are your tips for speed and precision during long questions?
Okay, so at every single point when you going to like write a question or move on to the next step, you need to see whether you need to double check, right? You need to understand, okay, I did this in the last part, did I do it correctly? And then more on the next one. Because one mistake can, just carry on forward and just lead to more and more and more mistakes. And that's what I think is also about. the error carry forward. It helps you in that. If you make an error in the past, it can be carried forward, and they don't like deduct too much marks of yours. But still, apart from that, you need to understand that at every single step you can make a mistake, and we need to technically resolve that by double checking every single question, every single numerical. And obviously, time management is a great part, is a really vital part of doing your paper. And you need to time your questions accordingly. Not spend too much time on one question. If you don't understand a question, if you don't understand how to go to the next step, just move to the next question and just keep on doing a paper. If at the end you do get spare time, move on to the question, because it's better to use the vital time you could spend on doing other questions than just keep on doing time in that specific question. So yeah, obviously time management and also assessing fees is really important as well.
Right. And speaking of practice, Zunesha, how many past papers did you do before the actual exam?
As far as past paper practice is concerned, for me, it played a really important role because maths was indeed a struggling subject for me. But in order to not overwhelm me and practice enough, I did make sure that I started off with classified topicals and then eventually go for complete past papers when we were done with the syllabus. But still, I made sure I did around 10 years at least to cover and practice enough aside from the topical questions. So even if I have to repeat the topical questions in the yearly papers, I did that and I let it be so that I can overcheck myself if I can, like cross check myself if I can still solve it dobara se. So I would encourage people who struggle with maths, O levels or A level maths, they should really consider starting off with topicals and then eventually going to yearlies, then directly diving into yearlies because that might overwhelm you.
Right. So, did you use any kind of formula book or cheat sheet or even personalized notebook for quick revision?
I think for me, I would like to mention that I had a great teacher for O levels and A levels maths, and their notes and the way they taught me everything, every concept really helped me. That was the entire cheat sheet. That was the entire resource that I used for my practice apart for my preparation apart from practicing past papers. And for making a formula sheet, I would really recommend that you should go for making a formula sheet. As I mentioned earlier in physics as well, it really helps you to be fast and while you were practicing your paper, and then when you practice it again and again, and you have a skim through the formula sheet that you have already prepared. Not only it will help you in the past paper during the past paper sessions, it would also help you on the last day revision as well. You don't have to go through the entire chapters or look for the formulas or revise them. You just already have something prepared and you can just skim through that and you're done with your preparation. So I did do that.
Right. So, math can feel like a mountain, but with the right strategies, it becomes a staircase. Thank you for these practical tips. They'll definitely help students step up their game. Let's now talk about a subject that tests both logic and creativity. English. Full of strategies that can help students level up their expression and performance. So, first up, what do you think is the best way to consistently improve English grades over time?
I think though we come from English as a medium of education in our schools, and we are very fine at speaking skills for most of the part, but whenever it is about writing skills, there's a lot of students that struggle with their writing expressions. It's not about them not being creative, but it's about how they express themselves in writing. That was a case. That was the similar case was with me when I was practicing for my English language exam for O3. But I think this problem can be easily eradicated if you practice enough. Like I had a major problem with writing essays because though that is a very personal thing, I like to tell long stories, and which is why I would end up making dragged plots. This was a great problem that I faced while I was practicing for my English language exam. And one thing that my teacher really helped me with solving this problem. I don't know if I should use this cheat code here, but this is for the benefit of all students. What I personally did was I practiced a certain plot with a certain description with certain characters, and then I took narrative essay liners from past 12 years, and then I reframed the entire story, similar character, similar frame, and fixed that one liner into the same session, the same essay that I wrote once. Now, this might sound monotonous and silly, but it worked wonders for me, and that is the only way I scored an A star. Uh, and I think it is as simple as it sounds. It is a bit it is a very tricky technique to master, but once you practice it enough and you make sure that you're doing it the right way, I think this can help you a lot with your time management, with you being sure that you're doing it the right way. And for people like me who talk a lot and end up writing a lot, it can help a lot. So I think people should try that.
Right. So, improving vocabulary and expression is a huge part of doing well. Were there any specific books, websites, or YouTube channels you used for that?
I think, as far as I remember, preparing for my English language exam, I particularly would read for my descriptive and argumentative essays. I would read specimens, and I would read the examiner reports to know what was the examiner's requirement for these two specifically. Apart from that, narratives, as I said, I would practice on my own, and this was a technique that I was on to cracking, and I successfully did crack it. So I did not refer to any sources for narrative essays, but as far as descriptive and argumentative essays are concerned, I did read a lot of specimens, and I did try to copy their strategy on however they would like in a certain manner write these essays. For improving vocabularies, I remember we had a softboard put up in our rooms because me and my elder sister would have our CI simultaneously. So we would both put up our reading material and writing material over there. So I remember I would use the strategy of one word a day, but when I was close to my CIEs, it was 5 words a day. And I would remember those and write them with their meaning and put it up on the softboard so that every day when I wake up or I go past that softboard, I would just give it a skim. This really helped me remember a lot of stuff. But however, because I was really sure I was doing a narrative essay in my exam, so I did not really do anything else apart from all of this.
Okay. So, Abdur Rahman, when preparing for English, how did you approach directed writing versus composition? Did you have a different strategy for each?
Yeah, I think for me, I did have a different strategy. Like for composition, obviously there are multiple choices and you need to choose one of them. And obviously, most people pick narrative, and that's where obviously most of the threshold lies. But I also hone myself to do descriptive, right? Because less people, for me, I use this strategy because less people used to do descriptive. That means that the threshold for descriptive would be lower than the narrative. So I used to read a lot of specimen paper. I used to go to my teacher and get it checked and ask him to give me specific words. He used to give me specific words to like find synonyms of so I could use in my descriptive and all. And apart from that, obviously there's a different strategy you need to assess for a director writing because you need to follow a specific pattern for a director writing. You need to follow a specific pattern, a specific thing. The thing is, director writing, you need to follow this approach where you're given a concept, already given something you need to do, right? So you need to just follow that through. and you need to be concise. You need to be concise. Most people I see write loads of tons of stuff. And as my teacher used to say, I had a really good teacher. He used to say that conciseness is better than this detailedness, right? You need to be more concise rather than just adding more and more detail. Because obviously, examiner is going to go for a more concise, with a more concise paragraph, a more concise piece of work. So yeah, you need to follow that approach.
Okay. So, Zunesha, writing strong introductions and conclusions can be a game changer. Any tips for managing time and writing impactful openings and endings in paper one?
Yeah, I think you're very right when you mentioned that it has a lot of impact on the examiner because it hooks your reader. And it is widely used, practiced for good writers that they start off strong so that the reader, so that you can attract the reader to stay long. For techniques that you can use to practice or master the skill is write and read as much as you can. What I used to do was, as I said, I would read a lot of specimens and I would try to figure out the techniques that they would use. There are a lot of different ways where you can frame your introduction. And when it comes to conclusion, I think for narrative essays, or apart from argumentative essays, the conclusions are endings, right? So I think there should be more emphasis on your introduction of how you start. And when I specifically talk about narrative essays, there's a lot of techniques that you can use. So you should try and practice almost all of them, and then you can see which one works the best for you. That is how I personally did that. I practiced the flashback technique, the character introduction, or the sound effect, or starting off with maybe starting off with a cliffhanger, then ending it at a cliffhanger. So I tried all of these, and I figured out which one worked the best for me. Apart from practicing a lot, you should read a lot of specimens to figure out that there how many types of introductions, and however you can practice them in your writings, and then get them checked from right. As we mentioned in earlier subjects, that you need to check them across your mark schemes. I would recommend for English language, whenever you're preparing for your exam, get it, be in touch with your tutor, with your teacher. It really impacts your preparation, because you need to have professional advice on your writings. Because obviously, when I write it, I would rate it a 10 out of 10 because it's my writing, because that I'm biased with my story. So I think it's really important to get it checked from somebody who can read it through as a reader and give you an honest opinion about it. Can be your elder sibling, teacher, tutor, anybody.
Thank you so much, Zanesha, for these amazing tips. English is one of those subjects where clarity, creativity, and consistency all comes together. Um, Now um, we've talked about a lot of academics, right? So let's dive into some other questions. Like, there's a whole world beyond books, right? Where skills like leadership, empathy, and balance are tested and built. Let's explore how your extracurricular activities shaped who you are today. Now, if you could sum it up, how did extracurricular activities shape who you are today beyond just academics?
Okay, so for me, I think it's more about honing your soft skills, right? Because obviously academics is only going to help you in like knowledge and all, but you also need to know how to communicate with people. You also need to know how the world works. So for me, it was always volunteering or doing like participating in events and actually managing the events. For me, organizing the event is more important. Like that's where you learn how the whole world works and how the whole event works. And volunteering for these specific events, that really helped me. Like for me, recently I was a volunteer in with the PM office conferences, and that's where I really got to know a lot about like the problem the youth face, right? it was for me, it was an eye opener. So apart from academic, you also need to focus on the other type of stuff, like debating. Debating is one of, and also like the man. That's when you really understand. Okay, apart from the academic, the other problem in the world, and maybe like we are just one speck in a whole universe, right? You need to like analyze it, you need to understand it. So yeah, obviously, I
Yeah.
would obviously say co-curricular activities is just as important as your academics.
You're very right at it, Abdurrahman, and I agree to debating being a very important aspect and a very important aspect if you're applying for scholarships and then your later education as well. However, personally to me, I was never good at debating. Though I think I was intimidated and I never tried really, but I think I had to figure out whatever works for me. And as I said, I'm a people's person, so I really like interacting. I really like talking. I really like storytelling. So I thought maybe I can find a purpose out of it, and that's how I discovered working in social welfare organizations and working along with them for purpose really helped me shape myself as a person, release stress from my academics, and have and use my leisure time purposefully. So that is how I figured out and joined societies that and organizations that helped me shape that leisure time into a purpose and serve my society. Apart from that, as I love doing uh, painting and stuff like crafting things, singing, so I used all of these skills to improve and serve society in the same organizations as I mentioned. We worked along with LSU and Boonde Shams, which is a non-profit organization. All of these societies helped us work in areas where underprivileged children got to interact with us, and we could perform all our hobbies and skills for them and ensure that we're serving society apart from developing our soft skills. So I think that's all that I did.
Right. So, Abdurrahman, you were on the Senior Student Council and also an active part of the Science Society. What did those roles teach you about leadership and collaboration?
Okay, so like for me being like a senior in the student council, obviously it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of burden. It was also responsibility. Like I was always in contact with my coordinator. He also always used to give me the tasks and give me like different jobs to carry out, different tasks to carry out, and communicate to my fellows. So yeah, I'll be honest, it was a really stressful thing, but it helped me, manage my time. It helped me realize, okay, I need to give this much time to this much amount of my to academics and this much amount to the other activities. And obviously, I was also part of the science society. It really helped me because I was really interested in science, and we also ran the event for like classes below O levels, and it was a really fun event, right? We actually planned it all and we actually carried it out. And it was also one of the events where I actually got to socialize with other people. Like before that, I was just like a bookworm. I used to just remain in my room. I used to just be in the academic status. But apart from that, when I actually got into the society, I actually got into the student council. That's where I met these other people. I got to know them. I got to know about their lives. I got to know about their academics, and we just talked and we just got to know each other. And that's how it helped me like hone my communication skill. Like for me, honing your communication skill and honing your leadership skill is also really vital part of being like in high school or being like in O levels. So yeah, obviously, like you need to participate in those kind of activities as well.
Yeah. So you're currently involved in the Youth General Assembly and Tapa Community Service. How did you get into these platforms and what kind of work do you do there?
Okay. So like for my youth general assembly, I was actually part, or I actually went as a volunteer in one of the PM office recognized international conferences. It was like a week long event. It was held in Dina Conference Center, JCC. and it was an eye opener, right? I was actually both a minute maker and also like a liaison for delegates. I got to like also interact with international delegates and get to know them and get to talk about their homeland. And they asked me about my homeland, so it was a whole new experience. But apart from that, as I told you, I was also a minute maker, right? And of two like private conferences, and that's where it really kicked in. That youth are like the most vital part of this country, obviously, like and they're really stepped on about. Like they're not really involved in policy making. They're not really heard out. Right, a lot of problems the youth face and people don't know. And that's when I realized about that in the conference. Not just the points that people are making, but also like from understanding that people are not making just valid points, right? Like they were making valid point, but not to the extent I would have said so. And in my opinion, I think they could have done more, right? They could have implemented more policy.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like one person in the conference said that they're never bad policies, but always bad implementation. So I think if youth were more involved in this policy making, there would be better implementation of this policy. So I did it. They asked me to do an interview for it, and I actually got into basically the Youth General Assembly. And basically, the whole purpose of it is to for youth to get involved in those policy making. And apart from that, Trafalgar Community Service is actually it's one of me and my friends initiated. It's still in its development phase. We have not really carried it out, but still, it's a good initiative. The main purpose of it is like volunteering to do work, like orphanages and old homes and all. Like basically, I would say it's like giving to people, right? The access that we have as like society, like basically just moving down the hierarchy and all. Like for example, recently we are arranging a project where in a school there's no internet and there's no computer. So we asked one of our friends. He was like, "I have a spare computer at home. No one uses it. So we're gonna ask him to basically donate it to the school, and we're gonna have internet arranged in their school. So that way, they can have online learning and online resources available at their orphanage."
Right. So, we have to talk about your distinction in O levels physics. Congratulations again. Was that a target from the start, or did it come to you as a surprise?
Yeah, completely as a surprise. I did not plan it, and once I had given a paper, I did not even think that it would be one of those moments in my life. I remember I was actually studying for my AS exam. I think it was send-offs or I think monthly, yeah, monthly. And suddenly, my friend calls me and he's like, "Bro, you got selected as like one of the distinction holders." And I didn't believe him. I was like, "No, we're just messing around." And I just shut up the call and just went back to studying, right? The next day I went to give my paper and my coordinator, he come up to me, he's like, "Bro, you won all that distinction and all, and you're not even celebrating and all." I was just in awe. I didn't even understand what was happening. At that time, the coordinator just came up to me. He got my number. He congratulated me, and he invited me to his office. I was actually giving paper at that time. He was like, "No, bro, that's not important anymore," because I was like one of the few people among like in the city who got the distinction, and he was really proud of it. The whole school was proud of it. So yeah, it was a really surprise for me and my teachers and everyone. And for a while, I was like the star, along with my fellow who also got a distinction. I was the star of the school for a while. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what do you think set your preparation apart? Was there something extraordinary you did that helped you hit that distinction zone?
Like I said, I had a really great teacher. I need to say that half of my responsibility for distinction was him. He was responsible for half of it. He used to help me a lot. Like even when I used to message him, like late at night at like 12, he used to message me back and say, "Okay, if you need to call me, just hit me up and all." And apart from that, I also did a lot of practice for physics. One of my greatest things was that I used to practice a lot of past papers and used to cover my concepts well. Actually, I was considered really good in physics. I remember my friends used to ask me a lot of questions about physics, and it was obviously a really strong subject of mine. And for me, just making concepts clear revising and then practicing and then repeat. That's all. In my opinion, that's all I do.
That's a gold tip for our listeners right there. So, Zunesha, as a science student with big dreams in genetic engineering, how do your academic goals connect with your passion for social impact?
I believe anybody as a person, apart from their academics, should look out for who they are and working out for your society and working out for people who you live with, who you leave an impact on, and they leave an impact on you. It's really important to consider them part of your life, a part of your circle of influence, which is why I made sure my entire life to find a purpose apart from my academics. As my results to my OA levels do not suggest, but I was a very struggling student since my early ages, and I was never good at academics. So academics was never the first or the major priority of my life because I always struggled through my journey. So I think maybe that was a push as well, or I wanted to take along things that I like. As I said, I struggled through academics, and then which is why I had to put in more and more effort. And I could see that those talents that I naturally had were maybe fading away, which I never wanted for myself. Then shaping them into something that can serve the society was something that came naturally to me. I remember when I was done with my O2 exams and the summer break followed by my exams, I never wanted to sit back home and be idle for the rest of the summer break, and I wanted to do something. And exploring through my Instagram, I found this organization called they different places where you can like different phases of your interest, and then they connect you to societies that help you perform whatever you want to do. And in this manner, I came across a school, an orphanage, a street school where I taught for the rest of the summer break. An orphanage where we used to go and we used to give them storytelling sessions. We used to sing to them and generally spend time as a grooming session for them. Such things really helped me with my anxiety, with losing things that I liked or loved to do. And they also shaped me and my portfolio as a person. Who am I? Who stands today in a position where I'm good at academics, as well as I think I am serving my community well.
Yeah. So, from leading councils and writing online to serving the community, your experiences shows that success isn't just about grades; it's also about the values you carry and the impact you make. So, you're all incredible role models for students listening to us today. Um, we've talked about mindset, strategy, subjects, but before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect, because behind the A grades there's a whole journey, right, full of struggles and surprises and self-discovery. So, what's one myth about A star students that you want to break today?
So one myth
I
that
think it's a very. Yeah, you can go on. You can go on.
so I think one myth about O level students, A star students. The thing is that they're always nervous and they're always into books, and you can't really have a good conversation with them. You can't really talk to them about it. But honestly, it's not that. They can be really good friends. They can really be good speakers, but just they don't have the confidence yet. They just don't realize it themselves that what they're capable of, right? So yeah, I think that's one myth that many people avoid. And the main purpose is that I need to that if this speaks to the right audience, they need to find the confidence, like to speak up, to actually socialize, to actually communicate these thoughts with other people. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I definitely agree with you saying that there's a wrong perception about A or A star graders in our age group, and then they really suffer with this image. And I would like to add on to it. It is really true. A myth for A graders themselves as people. They really do not try to come out of their comfort zone or do not try to explore different fields that they should. Students who are already performing, I would really encourage them to look out of academics and find a purpose other than academics as well, or besides academics as well. It is really important to define yourself for who you are other than your grades or apart from your academic excellence. And for people who perceive A graders as unapproachable beings, it is not really the case. I think people who perform well are very open to, most of the times, are very open to discussing their strategies or maybe working along in groups and talking about how they do stuff, how they divide, how they plan, and the discipline that they want to introduce. And I believe that you should have a similar strategy to go up to them and learn as a community, as a group, than shying away from them or being intimidated. So I think that's a big myth that they're unapproachable or they're not nice or they might be mean, they're proud. It's not like that.
Right, that's such a powerful reason. Um, Finally, one word of encouragement you'd like to share with the entire O-level community listening today.
I think be confident in yourself. I think that's the main key of like that's basically the whole crux. That if you believe in yourself, you can actually pull anything through. So for me, it's confidence.
Right.
I think for me, to remember that you're worthy of whatever you're doing right now. So it's not a word, I think it's a sentence, but like, yes, you'll ace it. Anyway, wherever you are in this journey, everybody has been through it, and you'll make it out of it alive. You'll make it out of it with with great person, with being a great human. I think that is what you should focus. And I guess that's it. Enjoy the journey, and let's not focus on the destination.
And there you have it, heartfelt advice straight from those who have walked the same path. Now, whether you're aiming for straight A's or just trying to stay consistent, remember, your effort, not perfection, will define your journey. So, a huge thank you to our incredible guests, Syed Abdur Rahman, Zonaisha Habib, and Warda Athar, for being with us today and sharing not just tips, but your real raw journeys. Your insights are gold for every student out there preparing for their O levels. And to our amazing audience, this episode was specially designed for students appearing in exams this year. With everything from study strategies to mindset resets, if you find this podcast helpful, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Let us know what you resonated with the most and what you'd love to see in future episodes of Enlighten Hour. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on content made just for you by students for students. Until next time, this is your host Gul Shehbano signing off. And remember, your grades don't define you, but your effort always will. Good luck and stay enlightened. Allah Hafiz.